Knowing your worth isn't just a quote on a Pinterest board, it's a way of living. It's a decision you make every single day, in every interaction, in every relationship, in every room you walk into. It's a quiet, unshakable belief that says, I matter, I am enough, and I will not settle. Too often, women are taught to compromise. We're told to be understanding, to be patient, to give second, third, and fourth chances. We're conditioned to soften our strength so someone else can feel comfortable around it. But here's the truth: shrinking yourself to make someone else feel big is not noble. It's not love, it's self-abandonment, and you're too valuable to be treated like a second choice in your own life. When a man uses you emotionally, physically, or otherwise, it's not just about what he did. It's about what you begin to believe about yourself afterward. You might start questioning everything. Was I not good enough? Did I do too much? Did I expect too much? And let me tell you, the answer is no. You were not too much. You were simply more than he was capable of appreciating. See, when someone uses you, it doesn't define you, it defines them. But what you allow after that, that's all you, that's where your power lies. You need to remember that your worth was never up for negotiation. It's not dependent on whether someone recognizes it, honors it, or validates it. You are not valuable because someone said so. You are valuable because you are full stop. So when I say know your worth and then add tax, I mean stop settling. Stop offering your love at a discount to people who wouldn't pay full price for your presence. Stop giving loyalty to people who don't even give you consistency. Stop handing out emotional labor for free like it's an unlimited resource. You are the whole package. You are talent, strength, beauty, intellect, kindness, fire, and softness all in one. And anyone who gets the privilege of being close to you should show up with gratitude, not entitlement, because your presence is not a given, it's earned. Your love is not owed, it's a blessing. Adding tax means recognizing the full spectrum of what you bring to the table. It means refusing to apologize for your ambition, your standards, or your sensitivity. It means no longer explaining why you won't tolerate half-hearted efforts, breadcrumb affection, or emotional manipulation disguised as romance. It means understanding that just because someone desires you doesn't mean they value you, and you're only interested in value now. And if someone can't handle your standards, let them walk. If they say you're asking for too much, they're simply not enough. Don't waste another second trying to convince someone to see your worth. That's not your job. Your job is to see it yourself and never offer it for less than what it deserves. This is your life. You get to choose how you're treated. You get to decide who gets access. You get to build the boundaries and raise the bar. And trust me, when you start walking in your worth, the world adjusts. The wrong people fall away, the right ones step up, and you stop surviving and start thriving. So go ahead, know your worth, then add tax and watch how your entire life changes. Love is one of the most beautiful, raw, and powerful forces in the world, but only when it's real. When it's mutual, when it's given freely, not earned like a paycheck or traded like a favor. The moment love becomes transactional, when it starts to feel like a performance you must keep up, a price you have to pay, or a debt you're constantly repaying, it stops being love. It becomes a negotiation, and worse, a slow erosion of your self-worth. There's a silent danger in being in relationships where everything feels conditional, where affection is only shown when you behave a certain way, where support comes only after you've sacrificed your peace to make someone else comfortable, where I love you becomes a tool, not a truth, something they say to keep you, not something they live by to care for you. Real love is not a scoreboard. It's not about how much you give to finally receive something in return. It's not about proving yourself over and over, hoping to be seen, heard, chosen. You should never feel like you have to earn love by constantly pouring into someone who never pours back. You should never feel like you're trying to qualify for someone else's standards, as if you're applying for a position in their life and might be replaced at any time. That's not love, that's a power imbalance. And you weren't born to beg for crumbs. If someone only shows up when they need something, when it's convenient, or when you're at your most vulnerable, that's not love, that's use. If they disappear when things get real, when you have needs, when you're asking for emotional depth, they're not your person. Love doesn't walk away when it's inconvenient. Love doesn't disappear when you stop being useful. Love stays. Love listens. Love sees you, all of you, and doesn't treat you like a temporary shelter from their loneliness. And here's the truth no one tells you enough. You are not a tool. You are not a therapist, a savior, a placeholder, or a second chance for someone who isn't ready to meet you where you are. You are not someone's emotional rehab center. You are a human being with a heart that beats deeply, a soul that deserves softness, and a spirit that deserves to be nurtured, not drained. You should never feel like you're too much, just because you're honest about your needs. You're not dramatic for wanting effort. You're not needy for craving consistency. You're not wrong for expecting the same love you give. You are allowed to ask for someone who shows up fully, not halfway, not on their terms, not only when it benefits them, but completely, and because they want to. And when you stop treating love like a transaction, you stop chasing people who never deserved a seat at your table in the first place. You stop doing emotional backflips to keep someone who never brought anything but confusion to your peace. You start choosing yourself, you start setting standards, you start seeing clearly that the love you offer is rare and it deserves to be met with the same depth, energy, and intentionality. Love should feel safe. It should feel consistent. It should feel free, not like a cage, not like a competition, not like a constant test, and most importantly, it should feel mutual, because when love is real, it doesn't keep score. It doesn't demand, it doesn't manipulate, it simply gives and gives back without price, without pressure, without pretending. There's a kind of strength that doesn't raise its voice, doesn't slam doors, and doesn't fight to be heard. It's the strength of silence. The kind of silence that comes after you've said everything you could, after you've given every ounce of your patience, your love, and your energy, and it still wasn't enough to move the other person. There comes a moment when you realize that continuing to explain yourself to someone who isn't listening, or trying to fix something that only you are fighting for, is not strength. It's self-sacrifice. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop speaking and start walking. When someone uses you, the natural instinct is to ask, why? Why did they treat me like that? Why couldn't they respect me? Why didn't they see my worth? And those questions can haunt you. They can keep you trapped in a cycle of self, blame, and emotional chaos, thinking maybe if you had just said the right thing or acted differently, things would have changed. But here's the truth. People know exactly what they're doing. Silence in this case is not avoidance. It's clarity. It's choosing not to beg for decency from someone who knew better but chose otherwise. There is a peace that comes when you stop trying to change people who don't want to change. When you stop performing emotional labor for someone who was never willing to meet you halfway. Silence becomes your shield, your boundary, your way of saying, I've learned enough, I've seen enough, and I choose myself now. It takes maturity to stay silent, not because you don't have anything to say, but because you've realized your words are too valuable to waste on someone who doesn't respect them. Silence doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you are strong enough not to let that pain drive you into further self-destruction. It means you have decided to protect your energy, your peace, and your heart from being dragged into more chaos. There is also a certain dignity in silence. It's not the absence of reaction, it's a calculated decision to remove your emotional investment, because sometimes people feed off your reactions. They thrive on knowing they still have power over you. But the moment you go quiet, really quiet, is the moment they begin to feel your absence in a way your presence never made them appreciate. That silence speaks louder than all the tears, all the arguments, all the begging ever could. And let's be honest, silence is often misunderstood. People will call you cold, distant, unforgiving, but you don't owe the world constant access to your voice, especially if it's being taken for granted. You are allowed to choose peace over explanation. You are allowed to leave without a grand announcement. You are allowed to preserve your dignity in the stillness. And sometimes walking away quietly is the loudest declaration of self-respect there is. It's easy to believe that closure only comes with words, with a final conversation, an apology, or the perfect goodbye. But real closure is what you give yourself. It's the moment you stop trying to make sense of someone else's disrespect and start healing from it. That healing doesn't need noise, it needs space, and in that space, your silence becomes sacred. So, the next time someone uses you, manipulates your kindness, or drains your spirit, don't waste your breath trying to make them see it. Just stop, go still, go quiet, and in that silence reclaim your power, not with revenge, not with rage, but with the kind of grace that doesn't need to be explained, only felt. Let your silence say everything. Pain has a way of mocking us. It etches itself into our memories, wraps itself around our confidence, and whispers lies into our hearts. After being hurt, especially by someone, we trusted it's easy to let that pain become a label. We start to see ourselves through the lens of what happened to us, broken, unlovable, not enough, but pain, as real and deep as it feels, is not your identity. It's not your forever. It is a moment, a chapter, a teacher, not the entire story. We don't always get to choose who hurts us, but we do get to choose what we do with that pain. Some people carry it like a burden for the rest of their lives. They let it define how they see the world, how they treat others, how they treat themselves. But pain doesn't have to harden you. It doesn't have to turn you bitter or closed off. It doesn't have to mean that love is no longer possible or that trust is forever broken. Pain is not a label you wear. It is a lesson you learn if you choose to. It teaches you what you will no longer accept. It shows you the parts of yourself you've ignored while trying to keep someone else happy. It reveals your strength even when you're down on the floor, crying and shattered. You learn who shows up when you're at your lowest. You learn how deep your resilience goes. Pain opens your eyes in a way comfort never will. And yes, the lesson hurts. Healing is not linear. One day, you feel strong and proud for walking away. The next, you feel a wave of loneliness crash over you. That's normal, that's human. But every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you doubt your decision, it's all part of the lesson. Not because you deserve to suffer, but because there is something inside you that is growing, stretching, transforming. You are not weak for feeling pain. You are not foolish for having loved. You are not broken because someone failed to see your worth. You are simply human, and pain is one of the clearest signs that you cared, that you showed up, that you tried, and in a world that often teaches us to be numb, to be cold, to keep our guards up, that's actually something beautiful. It means your heart works. It means you have depth. But now you get to take that pain and let it shape you, not destroy you. You get to decide that this wound doesn't define you. It refines you. You become smarter, more aware, more intentional. You learn to spot red flags faster. You start loving yourself harder. And slowly, you stop seeing the pain as a sign of your failure and start seeing it as the beginning of your power. What once made you cry will one day make you proud. Because you made it through. You faced the storm, and you're still here, wiser, stronger, and more connected to your truth than ever before. Don't let someone else's actions become your identity. Don't wear your wounds like permanent scars on your soul. Let them heal, let them teach, let them pass. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become after, and if you choose to rise, to learn, to love yourself more fiercely than ever, then that pain was never wasted. It wasn't a label. It was your lesson, and you're walking away from it, not with shame, but with growth. Boundaries are often misunderstood. Some people think that setting boundaries means you're being rude, cold, distant, or difficult. But here's the truth. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. They are doors meant to protect what's within. They are not weapons. They are not punishments. They are invitations to treat you with the care, love, and respect you deserve. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't love someone. It doesn't mean you're unforgiving or closed off. It means you've learned what hurts you, what drains you, what disrespects you, and you've decided to no longer allow it. It means you've spent enough time being depleted and disappointed, and now you're choosing to preserve your peace and protect your energy. Boundaries say, I love you, but I love me too. They say, you can be in my life, but only if you show up with honesty, with consistency, with kindness. They are your way of communicating to the world how you expect to be treated, not because you're controlling, but because you finally recognize your own value. There is no strength in constantly being available to people who take you for granted. There is no wisdom in staying silent when someone is hurting you, and there is no glory in burning yourself out just to keep a relationship alive. That's not loyalty, that's self-neglect. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to outgrow people who refuse to grow with you. You are allowed to expect more, not because you're entitled, but because you are worthy. Let that be clear. Your worth is not up for negotiation, and your boundaries are how you enforce that truth. Think of boundaries like a door with a lock. The people who respect your space, your voice, your emotional needs, they get a key. The people who repeatedly ignore your limits, who manipulate your kindness, or who only show up when it benefits them, they stay on the other side. Not because you hate them, but because you've learned to love yourself. And yes, sometimes the people who are most offended by your boundaries are the ones who benefited the most from your lack of them. They will try to guilt you. They will say you've changed. They will accuse you of being selfish. Let them. That's their discomfort, not yours. You're not responsible for making people comfortable at the cost of your own discomfort. Boundaries teach others how to treat you, but more importantly, they teach you how to treat yourself. They are the ultimate form of self-respect. You stop betraying yourself just to be accepted. You stop overextending yourself just to avoid conflict. You stop saying yes when your heart is screaming no, and in that process you become rooted, steady, whole. You'll notice something beautiful too. The right people won't just respect your boundaries, they'll honor them. They'll appreciate your clarity, they'll match your energy, they'll meet you where you are without making you shrink, because real connection isn't threatened by boundaries, it's deepened by them, so don't be afraid to draw the line. Don't be afraid to close the door on disrespect, inconsistency, manipulation, or half-hearted love, and don't apologize for protecting your peace. You're not building walls to keep people out. You're building doors to welcome in only those who truly deserve to stay. Letting go is one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do, not because you're weak, not because you didn't try hard enough, but because your heart was all in. You believed in the love, you hoped for the potential. You saw the good even when the bad kept showing up, and when something meant so much to you, releasing it can feel like tearing a piece of yourself away. But here's the truth you need to hear. You're not letting go for him. You're letting go for you. We hold on because we remember the moments that felt right, the late night conversations, the inside jokes, the quiet touches, the feeling of being wanted, even if it was temporary. But memories are dangerous when they only tell half the story. They don't always show the confusion, the emotional exhaustion, the way you kept waiting for him to show up the way you needed and he never did. Letting go doesn't mean you're pretending the love wasn't real. It doesn't mean you're erasing everything or denying that you cared deeply. It just means you've finally reached the point where you care about yourself more than the version of love you were desperately trying to maintain. You stop trying to rewrite the ending, you stop replaying the what-ifs, and you accept, with grace and strength, that your peace is more important than clinging to something that hurts. We often stay in situations far too long because we're waiting for closure, for the apology, the explanation, the final moment that makes it all make sense. But sometimes closure never comes. And in those moments, the greatest act of self-love is to close the chapter yourself. You don't need his validation to move on. You don't need him to understand the damage he caused. You don't even need him to miss you. What you need is to choose yourself every single day, even when it hurts. Letting go is not weakness, it's courage. It's waking up and deciding not to check if he called. It's choosing not to reply when your silence is more healing than his attention. It's no longer making excuses for someone who had every chance to love you and chose not to. You don't let go because you didn't love him enough. You let go because you finally realized that loving him shouldn't have come at the cost of loving yourself. And as you let go, you'll grieve, not just the person, but the version of you who fought so hard. You'll grieve the future you imagined, the dreams you shared, the way you once felt in his presence. But that grief, it's not punishment, it's purification. It's your heart making space for something greater, something more aligned, something worthy of all the love you have to give. You may not see it now, but every step away from what broke you is a step toward what will build you. Every tear you cry is watering the soil of your future strength. And one day not too far from now you'll look back and realize that letting go wasn't the end. It was the beginning of your return to yourself. This isn't about him anymore, it never was. It's about you. Your healing, your growth, your rediscovery of everything you are when you're not dimming your light for someone else's comfort. So let go, not because he deserves your forgiveness, but because you deserve your freedom. Not because he changed, but because you did. Not because he asked you to, but because your soul is finally ready to stop surviving and start living.